Yo, what up? We're back, and this week it's for a sick card. I'm actually going to this card, so I'm really pumped for this whole event. But it's UFC 245, Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. You know, all the talking's done. They're gonna get in there and do it. But we're gonna start from the first fight of the night, which is Soriano against Oscar Piechota. But first off, before anything, make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Put a comment down there who you're betting on, who you think's gonna win, and thanks for always supporting the channel, always putting, comments, likes on there. I want to try to get 100 likes on this video, so let's try to do that, so hit that like button if you can for me. But the first fight of the night is Soriano taking on Oscar Piechota, like I said. And Soriano, he's going to be making his UFC debut. He defeated Jamie Pickett on the Dana White Contender Series to earn his contract. And the UFC must think pretty highly of him because they're giving him a solid opponent, solid opportunity on a pay-per-view card. And he's an explosive striker. He's a strong wrestler as well, so good blend of skills there. And he's big, he's powerful, he's very accurate as well. Really good straight right hand, heavy 1-2. And he has a really nice straight right hand left hook combination, and he's pretty good at pull countering in the pocket. Definitely is athletic for his size. He's definitely going to be the more fluid guy on the feet of the two here. And when you hit him, he's really good at getting it right back with sharp return counter shots. And he's definitely, at his best when he can be the bully, back fighters up, put punches together in combination. He actually has really good combinations for a MMA fighter, and he's kind of a bit wild at times. He can't overextend on his punches. And in his last fight, Jamie Pickett, who's also, a long, athletic guy, he did have some success pot-shotting him with jabs, some straight punches. But Soriano, he's a Hawaiian, he's a tough guy, strong chin. And when he gets hit, he wants to come forward and get it back. He's not a guy that backs down. And 3 KO TKOs, definitely has power. And he's never been finished by strikes at all. Obviously, he's an undefeated guy. And he's a state champion wrestler as well in high school, solid grappler. Good body lock takedowns, nasty ground and pound. And he will use his punches to close the distance into the double legs against the cage and in space. And when he gets in top position, he'll land some big hammer fists, elbows. In his fight with Jamie Pickett, he was able to control Pickett on the ground for the majority of the third round. Good job of using a front headlock series to snap down, keep opponents down, and he likes to take the back. He does have 2 rear naked chokes. And I haven't seen Soriano put on his back, but he's explosive. I imagine he's pretty hard to hold down. Piechota, he is a credentialed black belt, so he doesn't want to be on his back in this fight for sure. And he did get a bit tired in his matchup with Pickett. He's still green, obviously. He's only 6-0. And prior to that fight, all 5 of his wins were finished in the first round. So he did prove he could go the distance, but he's only done that one time. And Oscar Piechota, he's fighting for his career here, so he has to obviously come in shape. He's probably going to be ready to go. And he started his UFC career 2-0, and he was undefeated at 12-0 as well, just like Soriano's undefeated now. But since then, he's lost back-to-back fights. He's been submitted in both fights. And I would say, he maybe isn't the most confident at the moment, but he is an average striker to me. He's a southpaw, and he tries to fight rangy. He does have some decent lateral footwork. He'll walk opponents in a straight, overhand lefts, and he will throw some heavy right hooks both to the body and the head, and it helps set up his left straight. And he will throw some short hooks, overhands inside, but he tends to counter, use a lot of one-shot attacks. And when he's forced to go first, he will overextend, look a little bit awkward closing the distance also. And fighters who can pressure him, they will draw out bad punches and be able to counter him as well as bad takedown attempts. And he seems to struggle with combination punchers, which is what Soriano does. Kind of lacks defense in extended scenarios in the pocket. But he does have a solid rear leg attack. He'll throw really dangerous high kicks. And he's a sniper. He can finish the fight with one shot. Definitely has one-shot power in the left hand. He's finished fights with head kick knockouts. And he has 5 KO TKOs. He's very tough. And when he gets stunned, he will try to plant his feet and go to war. We saw that against Gerald Meerschaert. But he can be hurt. He can be put down. He has never been finished by strikes, but he's been stunned and submitted before. And he is a credentialed jiu-jitsu artist. You have to respect him on the ground. He's a black belt under Robert Drysdale. He's won some ADCC competitions in Europe, I believe, as well. and he's going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage on the ground in this fight. He's also a decent wrestler. He does time body locks in the clinch well, and he will chain wrestle against the cage, but when he gets opponents down, that's really where he wants to be. I would say his wrestling, I'm really not sure if he's going to be able to take down an explosive guy like Soriano, but if he could time it really well, he will, it is possible. And when he gets opponents down, he passes to side control aggressively. He, forces opponents to give the mount or the back. And when opponents try to belly down and stand up, he also has a very good front headlock series. And he's actually much better at finishing with submissions there. He'll attack with Peruvian neckties, darces, anacondas, circles to the back very well. Good rear naked choke. And in his fight with Gerald Meerschaert, he did get out-grappled and submitted, but he also in the first round almost had a rear naked choke himself. Seemed like he kind of got tired after he almost got the finish, maybe had an adrenaline dump there, and Meerschaert was able to start dominating him fairly easily. He was getting him down with the body locks, and when he took him to the ground, he did some big damage with ground and pound, and Piechota looked very gassed, and he definitely had no quit in him. He went out cold with the rear naked choke, but his bottom game looked better versus Adolfo Vieira, where I feel like he wasn't as fatigued. But, obviously Vieira is a jiu-jitsu world champion, and he was ultimately submitted again. But he did show a dangerous guard. He showed the ability to stand up from bottom, and he will attack with triangles, arm bars, good butterfly guard. And if he's to get taken down by Soriano, I think he's going to have a much better chance at sweeping or submitting than he did against his last two opponents. He does have 5 submissions, but he's been submitted in back-to-back fights now, and his cardio has been pretty questionable, so he needs to address that, especially in grappling-heavy fights. And I kind of like this fight for Soriano. I feel like he's much faster, he has better combination punching, and he's fighting a guy who already gives up the center, so Puna, he's going to be allowed to walk him down pretty easily most likely, and I think whenever there's extended pocket exchanges, Puna's going to have big success there. He is a state champion wrestler as well, very athletic, explosive, and I feel it's going to be tough for Oscar to get a takedown. I think Puna's going to hurt Oscar actually in round 1 or 2 with his boxing and take him out. I think that, Puna has some of the better boxing, that I've seen recently for an up-and-coming prospect. I think that, he could potentially be a good fighter. So I'm going with Punahele Soriano to get the win via second round TKO. And up next we have the next fight on the card with Viviana Araujo taking on Jessica Eye. And this is an interesting fight, because Jessica Eye is just coming off that title fight. Araujo's coming up in the division, so it's kind of a test for Araujo. If she can pass this, she's going to probably be instantly put in the top 5. But she's already 2-0, and Jessica Eye, she was brutally KO'd, obviously, by Valentina in the flyweight title fight, so trying to bounce back from that. And Jessica Eye, she's kind of a hard fighter to get a read on because she can perform drastically different from fight to fight. In her fights, since returning to flyweight, she's fought different almost in every match. Against Kalindra Faria, she was dropped early with the head kick, kind of resorted to a grappling-heavy game plan, got the win there. When she fought Jessica Rose Clark, she used her jab, lateral movement, tried to pull counter. She walked Rose Clark into some shots, mixed in takedowns. And then when she fought Caitlin Chookagian, she used more of that Mike Tyson style, low center of gravity, head movement, get in and out, hooks, overhands over the top. But in her fight with Valentina, it seemed like she didn't do it. I don't know if she even landed a strike on the feet. She landed just 2 significant strikes, never really got started. And she was using like a very wide stance, almost like a karate stance, which, I'd never seen her use that wide of a stance before. And she got knocked out with the head kick, obviously. And she's had trouble with head kicks in fights. Kalindra Faria dropped her badly with the head kick. Obviously, she was knocked out. And she will throw some nice low kicks, occasional kicks to the body and the head, but her kicks are a bit stiff. I would kind of holster them in this match because Araujo is very good at catching kicks. I don't think Eye's kicks will be that hard to catch. And in this fight, Eye needs to likely try to be the aggressor here. Araujo likes to bounce around, use a lot of movement, pot shot, keep the volume high, and Eye has to get into the chest of Araujo with their head movement or forward pressure, force Araujo to brawl in the pocket, because Araujo's defense isn't the best there. She can keep her chin high, lean back a little bit. She doesn't move her head very well. And I will be looking for that 1-2, that right hand down the middle. And she's good at getting inside with body shots, then coming over the top with those wild overhands, those hooks. And her hand speed is pretty good. She's also probably more efficient than Araujo with her movement. And she doesn't hit that hard, though, and she doesn't really have the fastest feet. She can reach a lot, overextend on punches. And her cardio and her forward pressure, it's actually very good in some fights, and she can definitely take a shot. But after that knockout, we're going to see how she comes back. She'd never been finished by strikes prior to that fight, and she should look to mix in grappling here. I believe if she can get to top position, she will have, a lot of success there. I think she's going to be able to control. We saw Alexis Davis get that leg lock sweep after the takedown, and I had some solid leg locks, and that could be something she could go to. Maybe she could pull guard, but, I think that would be, last case scenario, worst case scenario. She does have some decent timing on her double legs body locks, and against Chookagian, she was looking for them to close the rounds, but Chookagian was able to really defend them really easily. She put her face in the mat a couple times with the whizzer and really kind of dominated the grappling exchanges against Ai. And then against Valentina, I was taken down with that body lock and really couldn't do anything off her back. She got controlled for probably over 3 minutes. I really don't think I can get takedowns in this fight, to be honest. I believe that Araujo's too good with the movement. She has a very good sprawl that she's shown. Maybe if she could, catch a kick or, get inside and then, get in the clinch really quickly, get a dump. But, I feel like Araujo's actually the more likely person to get takedowns if she wants them by timing the double, catching kicks. Araujo's takedowns are very fast, very explosive. But I don't really think she should go for takedowns unless she gets overwhelmed by the forward pressure. For Araujo, I think she's going to be the much faster fighter with her feet. And I think she's going to be able to consistently move, walk Ai into shots, dart in and out. And she uses a lot of one-shot attacks, but I think that's not a bad thing, especially for females. And she's good at keeping the distance with her jab, with her left hook. Big power, and she really will bust people up with the jab. She loves to use those drive-by straight right hands where she lands and angles off right away. Really good right hook as well, overhand right. And she can knock opponents out with one punch. We saw that against Toledo Bernardo, and that was at 135 pounds. So she definitely has some of the best punching power in the division. She'll also throw some nice Superman punches, big elbows. And like I said, she doesn't throw much in combination. She's always hitting and moving. She really doesn't seem super comfortable trading in the pocket, and she doesn't really throw kicks that much either, but she does have a really good explosive double leg, good timing when people get inside on her. But unless Ai's getting in her chest, I really don't think that she's gonna have much success with the striking on the outside against Araujo. And Araujo has to have the cardio to continue to move how she does for 3 hard rounds, because if she starts to get more stationary, that's where I can have her most success. But I actually think her last matchup with Alexis Davis is going to help her with the forward pressure of Ai in terms of being able to keep the cardio. And I think that Araujo probably knows that this is a massive fight for her career trajectory-wise. She's not that young either. She's 33, so it's not like she could progress up slowly like a prospect, really. And because of that, my pick's going to be Araujo via decision. I believe she's going to be able to pot shot, move, maybe stun Ai with some punches. And we have to see how Ai's chin recovers and how she recovers mentally after being knocked out like that brutally. And who knows, it may have ruined her confidence to know that she'll most likely never be the champion. That was not even a competitive fight against Valentina, so it's very hard to imagine that as long as Valentina's a champ that I was going to go up there and beat her at a rematch or something. But Araujo, she's a hard hitter. She may bring some memories back in her head if she stuns her also, but I just think Araujo has fast enough hands and fast enough feet to keep Ai on the outside, land her shots as she's moving, and I don't believe I could take her down. So I'm going with Viviane Araujo via decision here. And up next year, I think we have one of the closer fights on the card with Kai Kara France taking on Brandon Moreno. And Kai Kara, he's going to be looking to keep the good times rolling. He's going to look to move 4-0 in the UFC. He's training out of the vaunted City Kickboxing, which Alexander Volkanovski is fighting for the title on the same card. So they've obviously been getting a lot of training in together, I imagine. And City Kickboxing has produced Israel Adesanya as well, the current middleweight champion. They're undefeated in the UFC in 2019, so that camp is on a big roll. And for Brandon Moreno, he started the second stint of his UFC career with a draw. He fought in Mexico. He actually had a great performance against another guy that I think is a very strong competitor in Askar Askarov. And Moreno won in a lot of people's eyes, but not in the eyes of the judges. But he's steadily improving, especially with his striking, tighter defense. He's improving with his boxing. And he throws a lot more jabs to the body, to the head, and he has a very nice left hook. He'll throw a left hook, straight right hand combination. Really good left hook to the body and then going up to the head as well. And very dangerous overhand right. Really good right uppercut. Big power. He could definitely hurt opponents with one shot. And he throws a lot of long looping shots that he can land from long range. But he's tightened up the hooks and uppercuts in the pocket now. And he's very good at attacking the body with the left hook, then changing it up to the uppercut. And that's where he stuns fighters when they don't see that uppercut coming. And he's still a leaner. He's still a leaner. He overextends on his punches at times. He can get caught with counter shots, especially inside against sharp striker like Kara France. I feel like he might struggle with that. And he's really struggled with straight shots, especially the jab. Like against Pantoja. Pantoja was, stabbing him with that stick, man. Really hit him hard with the jab. And Moreno doesn't throw nearly as many kicks as he used to, but still is dangerous with the head kick. Obviously, he has dropped 2 opponents with the head kick. He dropped his last opponent with the head kick in Askar Askarov. And he's good at mixing it into combinations. He times it well. And he's getting the chance to defeat a style here that he hasn't had much success with in the past. I feel like Brandon Moreno has had a lot of success versus grapplers, but I would say he's 0-3 versus strikers in the UFC. And he's a bit sporadic with his output. He can circle, be very low volume, and then kind of just explode. And he's opportunistic. If he lands a shot that hurts opponents, then he wins the round. But if he doesn't, he usually gets out-volumed, especially against more technical guys. But he's durable. He's never been finished by strikes. And he does have 2 KO TKOs. He's dangerous on the feet. And he's an elite grappler, man. His scrambling ability is top-notch. He's proved that in his last 2 fights. His ability to create scrambles off his back is really incredible. He's gotten better at timing his double legs as well. He'll get it on the leg, circle to the back, look for trips, look to take the back standing. Good control, good ground and pound, nice guard passing skills. He'll take the back at the body triangle. Very good inside the arm of the neck for the rear naked choke. And his takedown defense has gotten better as well as his attacks to defend the takedown. So he'll use front knees, head kicks, uppercuts. And if you do take down Moreno, he's immediately attacking with triangles, armbar, sweeps, and extremely hard to hold down. He'll catch opponents in the scrambles with submissions. And he's been competing in combat jiu-jitsu. Obviously, that's the strongest facet of his game. He's trying to improve it even more. His rear naked choke is definitely his most dangerous submission, but he has 10 career submissions overall. And he was submitted by Alejandro Pantoja on Tough, but that's the only time he's been submitted. And being Mexican, he obviously has excellent cardio. Comes to fight, he's an action guy, and he's looking for the finish at all times. But having said that, Kara France is the more technical striker. Clear path to victory here, working behind his jab, using the movement, slipping and ripping, just finessing Moreno from the outside. And if he can keep the fight long range, not get hit, and keep it at his pace, he's probably going to cruise to a victory. France does like to shoot takedowns himself, mix things up, and deal with forward pressure that way, which I would completely abandon in this fight. Keep it on the feet exclusively, look to out-technique this guy. And he's athletic, he's explosive, and I think it's going to be hard for Moreno to take him down and hold him down. And he's hard to hit, and he comes forward, he's more technical. And if he gets a methodical pace in this fight, if he's able to control the pace with the striking, he's definitely going to win, in my opinion. For Moreno, I think he's going to have to pressure him into a mistake, try to get him tired, hurt him, and then capitalize off that. But Moreno's the more dangerous guy. Even though both fighters hit hard, I feel like Kara has a weaker chin. And he's obviously not as good in the jiu-jitsu realm. But if I was Moreno, I would look to blend takedowns into my combinations and make him defend those and then come up into the uppers, the overhands as well. Mark De La Rosa was able to almost take the back in round 1 of his fight with Kara France. But I definitely think Moreno's a better, faster scrambler. But to pick Moreno in this fight, you have to expect him to catch and hurt Kara France or be able to take him down multiple times or catch him in a scramble. And I just believe it's more likely that Kai Kara is going to be able to outstrike him over 3 rounds. I think he's going to be able to avoid the shots of Moreno and make him pay with sharp counters. His team's rolling, man. He hasn't lost all year, neither his team, and he's obviously very confident here. Moreno's a live dog, but my pick is going to be Kai Kara France to take a decision in this fight. And up next here in this fight, we have Daniel Teymur taking on Chase Hooper, who's making his UFC debut. And Daniel Teymur, he earned his first UFC win in his last fight. He was 0-3 before that, but he kept with it. He earned a decision victory, and you could tell that meant a lot to him. He was very emotional after the win. But even with that victory, I still feel Teymur's fighting for his career again here. He's fighting a 20-year-old kid coming into the UFC. I feel like they're kind of setting him up against Teymur because they think that it's a fight that he potentially could win, and Teymur has to come in here and prove him wrong, get the victory here. But Teymur, he's very explosive. He usually has strong starts in round 1. And he closes the distance quickly, hard leg kicks, overhands, nice left hook, overhand right combination. Very, fast guy as well. And, his overhand right's very accurate. It's very powerful. Good left hook as well. Nasty uppercut. He'll throw uppercut, left hook combination. He'll throw a lot of elbows as well. And when he gets inside, he definitely has a lot of power in close range. He'll get wild, throw looping shots. And fighters are able to hurt him as well, counter. But he does have big power there. And he'll throw hard body kicks, head kicks as well from range. A lot of spinning back fists, back elbows. And when he lands in combination, he can hurt you pretty badly. And he was a lot more composed in his last fight. He didn't fall in love with the same shots. He wasn't as predictable. And he was managing his cardio a lot better. And, he was actually able to keep the pace better over 3 rounds. And he won a decision there for the first time in his career, I believe, or maybe the second time. But he hasn't been a winner by decision very many times overall. But Teymur, he has those 3 KO TKOs. And, he's never been finished by strikes yet, so he does show pretty good chin. But I would say his chin is a little bit questionable. And in this fight, he's going to want to completely avoid grappling here. Anti-grapple, use anti-clutch game, keep it off the ground. Because this kid, Chase Hooper, he's really good on the ground. And Teymur's shown a lot of deficiencies there. He gives his back. He, doesn't look like he's, very comfortable there. And Chase Hooper's a very tall, long guy, 6'1" for the division. And he's someone that's, a shark on the ground. So you don't want to go to the ground with him here if you're Daniel Teymur. Keep it on the feet. And Chase Hooper, he's making his UFC debut. He's 20 years old. And he got that developmental contract after he got a win on the Dana White Contender Series. And he's gotten 2-0-1 since then. And he most recently defeated the former Titan FC champion, Luis Gomez, which is a big victory for his career. And Hooper, he's a 6'1" featherweight. Like I said, he's going to be 8 inches taller than his opponent in this matchup, so that's very significant. And he actually tries to fight long on the feet. He is a southpaw also, but he's still very green on the feet. He'll work behind his 1-2, and his straight left hand is fairly accurate, but he doesn't throw many punches besides that. And he's very kick heavy. No fear of his kicks being caught because he wants to be on the ground anyways, so if you take him down off his kicks, he doesn't really care. And he will throw some front kicks up the middle. He'll throw knees up the middle as well, and he can go to the well with those kicks a bit too much. Throw naked kicks, get countered, get stunned, and he's been hurt badly in multiple fights. But he has shown heart durability, and he also has that ability to flop to his back where he's comfortable, he can defend himself, recover. And he just doesn't have good hands overall, though, and if opponents can cut the cage off, force him to fight in close quarters, doesn't really show much of anything. He stands tall, he's very hittable, both to the body and to the head, and he also lacks the power to back opponents off of him. He does have 2 TKOs, but both of those were on the ground. He's undefeated. He's going to come in with confidence here, and his chin is strong now, but I'm worried about him getting hit so much at a young age, man. I mean, he's been getting dropped, recovering. Definitely has good cardio. He has heart, but he's taking a lot of damage, and his career may not be very long, but Hooper needs to get this fight to the ground any way he can because he's outmatched on the feet here. but he's a dangerous submission artist. I mean, he has 4 submissions and 8 wins, and he's comfortable on top, on his back. The problem with Hooper, though, is he hasn't really gotten, quite efficient with his wrestling. He rarely shoots takedowns, lacks the drive to finish most of the time when he does, and he actually times the singles and doubles well, but just doesn't have the physicality to finish. And he will clinch up, pull guard, no issues being on his back. I mean, he'll immediately look for triangles, arm bars, leg locks, and his length creates a lot of issues for opponents. Even when they pass his guard, he'll be going inverted with inverted triangles, looking for arm bars, kimuras, leg locks, really good sweeps. And in top position, in his last fight, he looked really phenomenal there. I mean, he was able to, take top position, get a deep half guard sweep against Luis Gomez to take it, and got to the mount, worked him over, took the back, got the rear naked choke really easily. And, when he takes the back, he's really good at locking in the rear naked choke. But he has had some issues sticking submissions in the past and holding down explosive athletes. But, he also usually needs to take a beating to get opponents tired before he can control them. But, he doesn't defend takedowns traditionally, so you have to be ready for that. He'll use front chokes to snap opponents down, flows between guillotines, anacondas, darces, and he's going to have the advantage on the mat, a huge advantage on the mat. And he's a gamer. He has no quit. He will survive through adversity, come back to finish, or take over late. And his ground game is very high level. It's dangerous, and Teymur definitely needs to avoid getting put on his back. I like Daniel Teymur in this fight, though. I think he's the much better striker. I think he's good enough to keep him off with the anti-clinch. I think he's a good enough athlete as well, as if he gets taken down, maybe he'll be able to pop back up. But I would attack the body first, break down the body, then go to the head with Hooper. When you back Hooper up, throw hard in combination, and if he flops to his back, just make him stand up. Try to avoid the clinch as well, but make the cage small and make Hooper fight in the pocket. And Teymur, he's in trouble if he gets put on his back, but I think he's going to avoid that. And I actually see him getting a first-round knockout here. So I'm going with Daniel Teymur via first-round knockout. And up next here, we actually have, I think this fight could be fun to watch. Matt Brown taking on Ben Saunders. And Matt Brown, he's returning from a long layoff over 2 years. He suffered that torn ACL in the lead-up to his bout with Carlos Condit in 2018. And this is going to be his first fight since November 2017, so I'm sure he's going to be pumped up to get in there. He is coming off of a pretty savage knockout of Diego Sanchez, but he's still lost 3 of his last 4 fights, and he's 2-6 since 2014. But Ben Saunders, he hasn't been doing much better. He's had a rough go as of late. He's lost 5 of his last 6 fights. He's been finished all 5 times, and he's definitely in desperate need of a win. He's still an OG, man. He comes to fight every time, and this is going to be his 20th UFC fight, so props to Ben Saunders. In 20 UFC fights, he's only seen the scorecards 5 times, so he's definitely someone that goes in there, and he's an action fighter. But the first thing I want to say about this fight, man, is I think the line is a little bit crazy. I mean, both these guys are at their tail ends, and they haven't been winning fights. Matt Brown has 2 wins in the last 5 years. And for this fight, Matt Brown, he's going to want to get inside, get past the reach of Ben, hand fight, use his dirty boxing, go body head, use the elbows, and just try to take Ben out with the power shot. Matt has that power overhand to close the distance, and he will probably try to clip Ben Saunders with that. I could see Brown trying to hold and pressure him against the cage as well, look for elbows, look for things off the break. And Brown knows that Ben is very chinny at this point, and his fights usually always devolve into crazy brawls where he's forcing opponents to make a mistake or he knocks them out. And if he can touch Saunders on the chin, Saunders is probably going to go down. But for Ben, he's going to want to stay long range with the knees, the teeps, the round kicks, the straight punches. Try to attack the body of Brown with the body kicks, which I think he could be very effective with. I feel like if he can establish the body kick as well, he could ultimately try to go up to the head for a head kick. And if it gets inside, Ben is also dangerous with the knees and elbows himself. But I don't expect this fight to go to the mat. But obviously, Saunders is great with the rubber guard, but he doesn't really have the takedowns. And I don't think Matt is going to want to take him down and go in that spider web of Ben Saunders. I definitely feel like Ben has a chance to hurt Matt Brown with a body kick. I mean, we saw another guy who everyone thought was dead, who was washed, who Ben Saunders beat up in Jake Ellenberger, knock down Matt Brown in like the first 5 seconds and then end him with the body kick. And Matt Brown, he's 38 years old. He's coming off a 2-year layoff. And I think both guys have heart. They're going to go to war. They have the cardio to keep the pace, but could be very sloppy if it goes long. And I'm going to say Brown touches that chin, gets the KO in round 1 in a pretty wild fight where both guys get hurt. But I just believe he's more durable. That's why I lean towards Brown. Saunders, he's taken a lot of damage lately. I do feel it's good to be active, but when you're veterans like these guys with established skill sets, calmness in the cage, maybe the break on your body and your chin, most importantly, could have been beneficial for Matt Brown. So I'm going to say Matt Brown wins a fun fight in round 1, but Matt Brown is like minus 350 or something. I feel like this fight should be like minus 155 for Matt Brown or something, like very close odds, because I don't think that you could take Matt Brown to the bank anymore. But I'm going with Matt Brown to get the first round knockout here. And continuing the card here, we have a middleweight fight with Ian Heinisch taking on Omari Akhmedov. And Ian Heinisch is going to look to get back on the horse here. He lost a decision in his last fight to Derek Brunson, and he was a sizable favorite going in there, but he showed he's still green. He needs to improve in some areas, but Omari Akhmedov, on the other hand, he's going to look to continue the success he's had in recent years. He's unbeaten over the last 3 years, hasn't lost since moving to middleweight, and he's defeating some pretty good name opponents, and a win over Heinisch will likely give him a top 15 opportunity. Well, it'll probably give both guys a top 15 opportunity, but it's a fun fight between two similar fighters. Both these guys aren't the most technical on the feet, but they have great chins, power, they wing bombs from the hip. And Akhmedov isn't as explosive or athletic as Heinisch, but I would say he's maybe has better technique a little bit, even though both of them, it's hard to say Akhmedov has better technique. He swings hard with every punch, but likes to throw a lot of long looping hooks, overhands. He'll use a lot of low kicks, round kicks, and he's a sick chin also. He could take bombs, keep coming. He likes to be in wars, trading in the pocket. And Ian Heinisch, he's more of an exploder, but he also likes to weigh in with those big looping shots himself. He uses more kicks, more movement. He'll leap into left and right hooks. He'll close the distance with straight punch combinations. And Heinisch has one punch power. He also has a great chin, and I feel on the feet he's more athletic. He's faster at closing the gap. I think if it stays striking, I think he might be able to catch Omari as he's backing up, similar to how Zach Cummings dropped Omari in his last fight. Omari could struggle under heavy pressure at times. In the grappling realm, I feel like Heinisch is the better grappler. I think he's more explosive. I believe he can defend the upper body lock takedowns that Omari attempts, and he has excellent balance. He's hard to take down with trips. I believe Heinisch is also more dangerous submissions with sweeps as well as better cardio. And if this fight becomes a battle of attrition, I see Heinisch being the winner. Heinisch has shown the ability to threaten black belts with jiu-jitsu off his back, and he has a killer guillotine, very good Kimura. I just feel like his jiu-jitsu is going to be the advantage here if they grapple. And my pick's going to be Heinisch via third-round finish or decision. I think he's going to keep the pace, the pressure high. I think he's going to wear on Omari as the fight goes on. And I think his ability to pressure and close the distance will give Omari issues. Omari hasn't fought the most athletic guys recently. And when he has in the past, he was forced to resort to grappling, which I don't think he's going to have that option is readily available in this contest. And that's why I see Heinisch taking this fight. So I'm going with Ian Heinisch, and I'll save you a third-round TKO here. And moving along here with the next fight, we actually have the return of Ketlen Vieira, who's taking on Irene Aldana here. And she's finally returning. Like I said, she's had an extended layoff for an ACL injury. And before that, she was on the precipice of a title shot. She was 4-0 in the UFC, 10-0 overall. And at 28 years old, she's still young. She still should be able to bounce back strong. And she's a pit bull, man. She's extremely aggressive, very big, physical for the division. And she's a forward pressure striker. She isn't the fastest fighter in space, but she knows that. She likes to be all the way in or all the way out. And usually inside, backing her opponents up towards the cage is where she is in the fights. She doesn't really throw a lot of long-range strikes. She likes to wait until she gets in the pocket, and that's where she'll let off combinations with power. She'll walk into some punches, but she's very sturdy, durable, and when she gets inside, she's excellent hand combination. She parries, she hand fights well, big power, sharp punches, very good jab and good left hook. Her lead hand is pretty good, and she'll throw a left hook, straight right hand combination. She'll mix hook, uppercut flurries inside, and she's big power when she lands. You'll see opponents get big eyes. They'll back up. They do not want to exchange with her in the pocket. And she's going to have to get inside here, cut the cage off. At range, Aldana has more diversity with the kick. She has the faster feet. And she's going to be looking to pot shot and move. And Vieira has to negate that. If Vieira can get inside, force Aldana to trade punches, I feel she'll definitely have success striking. And she's definitely the more powerful fighter of the two, with the punching power especially. She only has 2 KO TKO victories, but that's a little deceiving in my opinion, and she's never been finished by strikes. She's durable, she's a Terminator, and a very strong grappler. She's a black belt in judo and jiu-jitsu, and she doesn't shoot takedowns at range very much, but she's very good at backing opponents up, getting them in the clinch against the cage, working from there. Excellent body lock trips, big judo throws, and on top she's very good. She's heavy, she has solid ground and pound, very comfortable in half guard. She'll do damage there, look for arm triangles. She was able to submit Sarah McMahon with the arm triangle from half guard, which I don't know if she just has a really good squeeze or McMahon quit there, but Vieira will also look for Kimura's from that position. Her other go-to submission is the rear naked choke, but she hasn't really been able to get the back position in any of her 4 UFC fights. But Vieira's a dog, man. She has good cardio, no quit, and she's 4-0 in decisions, 6 finished victories herself, 4 submissions. And for Irene Aldana, she's been in good form now. She's won 4 of her last 5 fights, coming off a dominant win in October over Vanessa Melo. And she's been able to defeat that level of competition, the Vanessa Melos. But when she's been given the step up, she's fallen short. For instance, she lost to Raquel Pennington earlier this year. She's still looking for that breakthrough win. And this fight's going to come down if Aldana gets down her bike, stick and move, or if Vieira's going to be able to back her up, get her stationary, and ultimately probably try to get the fight to the mat. And we've seen Aldana struggle with the forward pressure style in the past, losing to fighters like Larissa Pacheco, Tanya Evinger, Leslie Smith, Raquel Pennington. And all those girls aren't direct facsimiles to Vieira, but they have a come forward style. They look to throw a lot of volume or get takedowns. And Aldana, she's been the much more active fighter of the two in terms of fighting recently, and she needs to have a performance similar to the one she's had in her last match in order to win. A similar game plan. Vieira cannot go, she cannot go backwards in this fight, because if she goes backwards, I feel like Vieira is going to have a lot of success with her against the cage, but Vieira cannot go backwards either. If Vieira goes backwards, it's exactly what Irene wants, and she's going to pick her apart with her sharpness. I feel like Aldana has to be the one going forward, though. She has to be angling, staying light on her feet, controlling the center. And her lead hand is nasty, her jab, her left hook. And she needs to keep the jab popping, body, head. And when Vieira comes forward, stick the jab, angle. And when Vieira starts to get frustrated, that's when Irene can open up with the bigger combos, try to land the 2, and sit down on her punches. And she has some of the best pull and step back counters in the game, man. Her boxing is incredibly sharp. She throws very tight, straight punches. And she'll also look to start kicking low. But she really needs to set up her kicks in this fight, because I feel like if she could set up her kicks low, she could eventually go high to the head, because Kat Zingano got pretty close on some high kicks against Vieira. And Aldana has to have the cardio on point here to move for 3 rounds. In her fight with Rocky Pennington, she looked nasty in that first round. She dominated the fight, but in the second and third round, her movement slowed a little bit. She started to eat some big shots. She eventually started getting control against the cage, taken down. And she hit some big elbows in the clinch. She really doesn't have the best clinch technique. I would say to completely avoid the grappling. I feel if she does get in clinch scenarios, she's going to get dominated there. She doesn't dig underhooks. I don't think she has the strength to frame away from Vieira. And I feel like Vieira will be able to get takedowns if they clinch up. And I see her dominating on the mat as well. We've seen Aldana held down for long periods of time by girls like Toledo Bernardo. We've seen her beat up on the mat by people like Tanya Evinger. And I feel the arm triangle will be available to Vieira possibly. And Aldana has gotten better with their anti-clinch game. And Vieira isn't much of a takedown shooter. So if Aldana can have that anti-clinch game on point, then that'll be a big facet in her winning the fight. But the thing I don't like about Aldana's striking is she's hittable. She sticks around in the pocket too long at times. She can leave her chin high. And lesser strikers, they can land shots on her that, she shouldn't be getting hit with. And she really doesn't like getting hit also. And Vieira is pretty sharp with her counters, and she hits hard. And I think this fight, though, in terms of the betting line, I feel like it's dog or pass. I think if Vieira was active in form, she would be the rightful favorite here because she had the clear path to victory. Like I said, Aldana doesn't dig underhooks. She really doesn't have the best technique in the clinch. And against a girl that's a judo practitioner, that could be a big problem here. And, but with her layoff, she could be a step slow, get pot-shotted. She is going to be the much slower girl foot speed-wise. But ultimately, I'm going to pick Ketlen Vieira because I feel like she is more durable and she has a big advantage in the clinch and on the mat. And I don't feel Aldana's scrambling will be enough to get her off her back. I think that it could even possibly allow Vieira to improve position. I think in the clinch, the thing that she doesn't dig underhooks is going to be a massive issue in this fight. And I just feel like the more likely winner, if they both come in top form, is Ketlen Vieira. I do believe the layoff and Aldana having the speed and boxing advantage makes it a dog or pass fight on the money line, but the pick is going to be Ketlen Vieira via decision. And man, this fight isn't even on the main card. Mike Perry taking on Geoff Neal. Hell of a fight here, man. This fight's going to be sick for sure, but Geoff Neal is going to be looking to become the unofficial Florida Man champion, coming with back-to-back victories over Nico Price, Mike Perry. And Neal, he's looked phenomenal, man. He's destroyed all 4 of his UFC opponents, 3 finishes in the 4 wins. He's dropped all 4 of the fighters that he's fought. And he has some of the cleanest striking in all of the UFC. And Mike Perry, he's going to be looking for a different result here. He lost that decision to Vicente Luque in his last fight. And, the ever-entertaining Perry, though, he's not been able to get over the hump, and get that signature win that vaults him into the top 15. And as a result, he's entered this kind of gatekeeper role where he's testing the top prospects of the welterweight division. Just did that with that spirited effort in a loss to Vicente Luque. And now he's doing it again here with Geoff Neal. But Perry got his face rearranged in one of the worst ways in recent memory. That was one of the worst nose breaks I've ever seen, and that fight was just 4 months ago, so I find it hard to believe that Perry's been training that long, or at least sparring, but hopefully that nose is 100% ready to go. And Perry's proven time and time again that he has dynamite in his hands. He's always dangerous, but man, I actually really like this fight for Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal, man, he's looked really phenomenal so far in his UFC career. I haven't really seen him face much adversity at all. He barely gets hit. His distance control is very good, and I think that's something that's different than the Luque fight with Mike Perry, because Luque is a guy who likes to get inside, likes to sit in the pocket, trade, slip and rip, and he's very comfortable, blocking shots with the guard, answering back, and that's a dangerous style against a guy like Perry who's very explosive. It could jump into those leaping left and right hooks. his leaping left hook against Luque was on the money in that fight, and that's what he's going to have to do here. Because Perry can have those fights where he can or just periods of time during fights where he'll stick around on the outside, be very low volume, and he cannot do that against a guy like Geoff Neal who has the sniper for the right hand. That's a laser beam bomb, man. And everyone talks about Mike Perry's power, but who's he really knocked out? He's knocked out Jake Ellenberger, Danny Roberts, who's a very chinny guy, Alex Reyes, who's a lightweight, and he hasn't knocked out many guys since moving into the higher echelon, even like the Max Griffin level of guys. He hasn't been able to knock out those guys either. And I just feel like Geoff Neal, with his distance control, it's going to be very hard for Perry to land those bombs over the top without eating that straight right hand. Perry does have a really underrated left kick, in my opinion. To the body and to the head, it's pretty impressive, but Geoff Neal, I feel like, is just much cleaner, much sharper, and I feel like he could win this fight exclusively with the straight right hand, but he also will flurry on guys, close the distance with big flurries, which, people talk, like I've heard some people saying Mike Perry is live because Geoff Neal has a bad chin. Maybe, I don't know. We saw Kevin Holland hurt Geoff Neal finish him with strikes, but he wasn't like Geoff Neal was out. He was on the feet and got finished. And Kevin Holland landed a flurry of punches where he landed a big straight right hand from the outside and then flurried on him. And he's a long guy who landed a straight punch right down the middle, which Perry throws a lot of hooks, a lot of wide shots, looping shots. And, what beats a looping shot is a straight right hand right down the pipe, a jab, a left hook really tight. And Geoff Neal, he's just tighter in my opinion. He's better with the defense as well. And we saw early on in that fight between Paul Felder and Mike Perry, before Paul Felder hurt that right hand, he was landing that sniper right down the middle, and that's what kind of was stopping the left hook. And then once he broke that hand, or broke the arm, Perry started to have much more success walking him down. But that's what Perry has to do here. I mean, he can't let Geoff Neal rest. He has to make this a very high-paced fight, get in his chest, Mike Tyson style, over the top, hooks, overhands, bobbing and weaving. And Geoff Neal is going to be looking for that high kick. That high kick is nasty, man. I mean, he dropped Bilal Muhammad with it, knocked Frank Camacho with out cold, looking for the straight right hand, the left hook, flurrying, getting out, angling. And Perry, he likes to mix it up and grapple, but man, I mean, Geoff Neal in his last fight, he showed some sick grappling as well. I mean, he took Nico Price down pretty easily. He was dominating him in the clinch, showed a very big strength advantage there. And when he was in top position, man, in the first round, he was passing like butter. He mounted him. He was beating him up. The bell rang. And in the second round, he took him down. It was just devastating with his ground and pound from the guard. Ultimately took out Nico Price from inside his guard with ground and pound, just really brutal shots. And I feel like Nico Price is actually a more dangerous guy for Geoff Neal than Mike Perry, because Mike Perry, even though he's an exploder with one or two shots, it's usually inside that he explodes, or he will explode with the one left hook, the right hook, but he usually can't explode with long punches, and he doesn't explode with big flurries like Nico Price. And I actually think Nico Price has more one-shot power than Perry, because we've seen it, man. I mean, Nico's been getting KOs against better guys more recently. Perry hasn't gotten a KO in like 2 years. I mean, So I just feel like Nico's actually a more dangerous guy. And I just feel like Neal in that fight, people talk about how he got dropped in that fight, but he got dropped to the headbutt one time, which, if you want to say that that's having a poor chin, I don't know. Is Mike Perry going to come up with a game plan to headbutt him? I don't know. And then he also got rocked or kind of dropped, I feel like, when he flurried in, had that big flurry, and Nico flurried back at the finish. But that's because Nico exploded with those straight punches. I feel like against a guy like Mike Perry, who has a shorter reach, he's more of a stocky guy that likes to be inside. He's going to be able to control range much better. And if Perry flurries, he's going to be able to get away easier. And I feel like he's a better grappler as well. I kind of struggle to find ways that Mike Perry's going to win this fight. I mean, unless he just lands one of those big concussive shots. If he can get Geoff Neal in the clinch and just like be the stronger guy in the clinch there, control him, and then maybe land an elbow off the break. He's very dangerous with that, but I feel like Geoff Neal is going to be the bigger, stronger guy in the cage also. And the fight where he got finished by Kevin Holland was at 185 pounds. I believe he's never been finished at 170, so I feel like Geoff Neal is just a level above Mike Perry. I mean, I love Mike Perry. Everyone loves Mike Perry, man, but Mike Perry is 6-5 in the UFC. He's basically a 500 fighter. And Geoff Neal, he's 4-0. He's showing all the skills. He's looking like he's going to be an uber prospect. If Mike Perry can go in there and defeat Geoff Neal, that would be a staple win. That would be a massive win. Huge win for Mike Perry. But I don't think he's going to be able to do it, man. And I think Geoff Neal might even get him out of there with that straight right hand. I feel like it might be the first time Perry gets knocked out or finished in the octagon, man. And I'm going with Geoff Neal via second round TKO here. And up next here we have kind of a change in the guard fight. I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight with Petr Yan taking on Uriah Faber. And we all know the deal here. Uriah, he came in against Ricky Simon, got that big finish in the first round, dropped him with the overhand right, and then finished him up on the ground with the TKO. And Petr Yan, he's been assaulting the division, just taking everyone out, beating everyone up, and just dominating everyone. He's showing a blend of skills. His grappling is on point. His striking is on point. He's kind of the new breed style fighter. Uriah is obviously 40 years old. He's the veteran. He's the legend. And Uriah, he really had to get enticed to come in and fight this fight. I've heard multiple interviews where he's talking about, oh, I'll come back and fight, but I just need my contract renegotiated. It seems like he got paid out for this fight, so that's why he decided to do it. But, man, Dominick Cruz has said it time and time again. With Uriah Faber, you have to look out for the overhand right and the guillotine, and that's really it. Ricky Simón got hit with the overhand right. But, man, if he goes out here and beats Petr Yan, beats Ricky Simón and Petr Yan back to back, I feel like Petr Yan would be the best win of his career. I feel like, even more than like Dom Cruz, a young Dom Cruz, I feel like this would be the best win of his entire career if he can go out there and beat Petr Yan. But, man, Petr Yan has better striking. He's younger. He's faster. He can kick. He's more long range, in my opinion. Way more diverse. I feel like his grappling is on point. I don't think Uriah's going to be able to take him down. And, I feel like he's a rightful minus 500 favorite. I just don't see many avenues for Faber to win this fight. Yeah, if you guys think Faber can win, put down in the comments what you think is going to happen. I know there's a lot of Faber fans. I know there's a lot of people that back him just because he's a legend. They want to see him win. They've been watching him for a long time. But, analytically, really, if you want to think about it logically, what ways do you think Uriah Faber can actually win? Put that in the comments for me. Let me know. How do you think Uriah Faber is going to win if he wins? What path to victory do you think he's going to win? You think he has to win, even if you think Petr Yan is going to win, if you think he has one? But I think this fight's very similar to the fight last week, which was the most confident pick with Joe Solecki and Matt Wyman. Not in terms of how the fight's going to go down, but I just feel like that type of domination or maybe even a finish, but I feel like Petr Yan is just going to be a step above, step ahead, faster, younger, new generation, and I'm going to Petr Yan to take out Uriah Faber, probably second round finish, put a clinic on him, and beat him up. So I'm going with Petr Yan to get the win here. And up next year, if you've watched this channel for long enough, I'm never going to go against Jose Aldo, but man, this is tough right here for me. I don't really know. I kind of really want to wait for the weigh-ins, man, because I'm definitely going to be doing for this card a post-weigh-ins breakdown video. I'm going to be going to the weigh-ins, so it'll be pretty fun to do a breakdown video after that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of energy there for a weigh-ins like that. And I might do it after the ceremonials, after the big weigh-in, but I'm going to do a post-weigh-in breakdown or a post-weigh-ins prediction video. And that's what I'm going to give my prediction for this fight. I've never done that before, but man, I just feel like, to be honest with you, breaking down the fight, I will do that on the other video, but I feel like Aldo and Moraes are very similar, but Aldo's just a bigger guy. I feel like he has more power. He's actually faster, I feel, even though he's bigger, more fast twitch. And I feel like, if this fight was at 145, Aldo would win all day. He would be a big favorite. But I just want to see how he looks on the scales, man, if he makes weight, all that. And then I'll come up with my final opinion on that, see how he looks and everything. But right now, I'm not going to give a winner for this fight. So, like I said, be on the lookout for the Friday post-weigh-in breakdowns video. And I'll give you my winner. I'll give you the breakdown and everything then. So, yeah, let's just say this first time I'm doing this, I'm sure I'm going to get some comments, get some shit about it. But, yeah, I'm going to leave it incomplete until I do that other video. So that's going to be it for that matchup right now. And we're getting into the trio of title fights here. The first one, Amanda Nunes taking on Germaine de Randamie. And, the female GOAT, Amanda Nunes, she puts that title and her UFC title on the line in Las Vegas once again. And she's going to be rematching Germaine de Randamie here for the 135-pound title. And Nunes, she's actually been able to take out legends left and right, man. She's actually defeated every single former 135 and 145 champion in UFC history. And Germaine de Randamie, she's looking to become only the second female two-division champion in UFC history, along with Amanda. She's the former featherweight champion, and she's won 5 consecutive fights since losing to Nunes. She's 4-0 at 135, and she's coming off that 16-second knockout of top prospect Aspen Ladd, and she could definitely shut your lights out with one shot. And she is going to be the better striker in this fight. In my opinion, I feel like it's subjective as well. I don't really think that you could say Amanda is the better striker, but because I feel like they kind of match up similar in terms of power, maybe Amanda has more raw power, but the sharpness and, the fluidity of Germaine gives her a big power as well. Her timing also. I mean, we saw that piston that she landed on Aspen Ladd. But the thing is with Germaine is I feel like Amanda is not going to strike with Germaine like she strikes with other girls, because I feel like it's going to be the Amanda how she fought Valentina, where she throws a lot of low kicks on the outside. She tries to stay low risk averse, because she knows she can't go in there and brawl like she did with Cyborg against someone that's a sniper like Germaine, someone that's really sharp. And I feel like it's going to be like the first fight where she's going to try to back her up towards the cage, because with Amanda, even if her striking isn't as good technically, you have to respect the power, you have to respect the explosiveness, and I feel like she is probably going to be able to back up Germaine if she wants to. And then from there, I feel like she's going to shoot in, try to get the takedown, get it to the mat like she did in the first fight with the single leg, because Germaine, she has gotten much better with her takedown defense against the cage, but in a lot of fights, we see Holly Holm where she's kind of dominating her in the clinch. She's controlling her. Germaine doesn't really dig underhooks. She tries to frame an elbow, push off. And against a girl like Amanda, Amanda will circle to the back, jump on the back. I feel like Amanda's once again going to have a big edge in the grappling here. And Germaine gets pushed up against the cage, gets a lot of girls. Raquel Pennington had long periods of time where she was controlling her in the clinch. And those girls don't have the short-range power of Amanda, and I feel like they don't have the judo takedowns, because Amanda is a judo black belt. So I feel like she's in more danger in those clinch positions against Amanda than she is against her former opponents that she's recently been fighting. But Germaine, she's going to have that chance. I feel like for her, I feel like the way that she would win this fight is first round knockout. I really do, because I feel like she's a sniper, and if Amanda goes in there overconfident and Germaine catches her with one of those straight shots with the jab, her jab and the way that she can control distance with the jab and then pull counter, she is probably the best pull counter in all of women's mixed martial arts. But maybe her, Valentina. I feel like Valentina has more diversity with the kicks. GDR does have nice kicks, but I think she's maybe a little bit slower with the kicks, and she's a little bit more plodding with the movement, which I feel like Amanda's going to be able to back her up easier than she did Valentina and shooting on the legs, because Valentina is very in and out with the movement. She's always circling and moving, and Germaine is more of a traditional Muay Thai striker where she's more flat-footed. She's in front of you and trying to look for the counters, the pull counters, but she doesn't have as much movement, and she's not as hard to find as a girl like Valentina. And I don't think she has as fast like the kick counters that are very dangerous like that. You only have to worry about mainly the hands in terms of the countering. But Amanda, she has to respect the striking here. But I feel like she's going to come in with a similar game plan to the first fight. And I feel like Germaine really hasn't shown the ability to deny the clinch that well. I feel like she does have good elbows, knees in the clinch. I feel like she's definitely live here. She's one of the more dangerous girls that Amanda's going to have to fight because of the knockout power and the striking pedigree. But her ground game, I feel like if she gets taken down, I don't know if we've seen her get taken down since the Amanda fight, and who knows how she looks down there. The first time she got taken down by Amanda in the first fight, it was just pure domination. She got finished shortly after. And, I just don't think Germaine could close the gap in the grappling, so I'm going with Amanda Nunes. I think she's going to get a first or second round TKO or submission from top position. But I think if this fight goes 5 rounds and it's more striking, I think that Amanda is going to be very respectful of the striking of Germaine. It could be a boring fight with her using a lot of low kicks, trying to explode at times, but keeping a risk-averse style and just trying to win on points. I feel like, Holly did hurt Germaine with the head kick, so maybe she starts using those low kicks. She can attack high with the head kick and get the finish. But I think GDR is a great chin, man. And when you hit her, she comes hard. She comes back. So, I feel like also if they brawl, that GDR will have the advantage because she throws straighter and tighter shots. So it's not like Cyborg where she can brawl and throw loopers. So I feel like Amanda definitely has to mix it up, work the ground game in this fight, be safe on the feet. But I think she'll be able to get it to her world, get it on the ground, and get the finish. So I'm going with Amanda Nunes to retain the title here. And the second title fight on deck here, Max Holloway taking on Alexander Volkanovski. And man, this is a sick fight. I really had fun watching the tape on this fight. And I kind of have more of an appreciation for Volkanovski's striking, especially after that Aldo fight. Because, man, I mean, his footwork, his foot positioning in that fight was flawless, man. I mean, he was always controlling the center of the fight, controlling the distance with those fakes and feints. I mean, his fakes and feints are phenomenal. He's constantly faking, constantly feinting, constantly keeping you off balance. And his ability to close the distance is really good, along with his straight punches as well. Not his straight punches, his tightness in the pocket with his... I mean, he does have some nice straight punches, but it's really the tightness in his counters. I mean, when Aldo was landing, he was countering right away. He was landing a lot of low kicks as well, which I feel like against Max Holloway will be part of his game plan. And I feel like Max... I actually feel like Max is going to be in trouble in this fight, man. I like Volkanovski in this fight. I think that Volkanovski... I feel like his low center of gravity as well is going to be able to get him inside, because Frankie was getting inside on Holloway as well, but I don't think Frankie is nearly as fast twitch as Alexander. Alexander could close that distance, land those left hooks, those right hooks, the tight punches, the uppercuts really well. I mean, his uppercut is really nice, his left hook, and I feel like the left hook is going to play a big role. I mean, Dustin Poirier dominated Holloway with the lead hand, and I feel like the firepower of Volkanovski is going to have to be here. He's going to have to sit down on his shots and make Max pay for overextending on punches with sharp counters, hurt Max, put damage on him, and make him not want to throw as much volume. And the thing that I like about Volkanovski as well is, he showed against Chad Mendes that if you hurt him, he could get right back in your face. His cardio is phenomenal. I don't think Max is going to be able to drown this guy with pressure and volume striking. I really don't, because I feel like also he has that other added variable where he could tie up, and his tie-ups are... I mean, Max Holloway is able to deny the takedowns of Frankie Edgar, and I feel like maybe Volkanovski won't be able to take him down either, but his tie-ups are phenomenal, man, and Volkanovski can tie you up, control you against the fence, and just waste time, and he was doing that to Aldo. I feel like he could do that to Holloway as well, and Holloway, I feel like he struggles against explosive guys, and, he has been able to beat explosive guys in the past, like Jose Aldo, obviously, super athlete, but Aldo's a guy who's explosive and fades. Alexander Volkanovski, this guy who's fast twitch, explosive, and has the cardio. Dustin Poirier, fast twitch, explosive, has the cardio. I mean, these guys that he's recently been defeating, Brian Ortega's, that he's been defeating very soundly at 145. Besides Aldo, Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Rick Lamas, these guys aren't, I don't think they're the type of athlete. They're not as fast. And Max, I feel like he has problems with speed. He isn't the fastest guy, and he needs to, set that pace and find his rhythm where once he can get that jab going, start to land his straight punches, land his hooks, get the slaps, get the combinations, body, head. I mean, his combinations to the body are really nasty, and Volkanovski has a nice high guard, so I feel like attacking the body is going to be a big key for Holloway if he wins this fight. And but man, I just feel like Volkanovski is going to be the faster guy closing the gap. I think that he's going to land the tighter shots, and I feel like Max is very hittable. And you see, with Aldo was winning the first 2 rounds with the counters in both fights probably. I mean, you could say Max won one of those 4 rounds maybe, but I just don't think Volkanovski is going to fade. And I feel like Volkanovski is going to be able to close that gap, maybe even get a takedown or 2 as well. And I feel like his striking, in terms of the tightness in the pocket, the counters, I think that's going to give Max problems. I don't think that Max is going to be able to, overextend on the punches. I don't think he's going to be able to get his rhythm, because I think he's going to be getting hit with sharp, big counters that hurt him potentially, and definitely that he has to respect. And I feel like Volkanovski is going to keep him off balance with the feints. He's going to control the distance. He has the longer reach as well. And, I feel like Alexander Volkanovski is a very live underdog. I feel like he actually should be the favorite in this fight, because I just like his style here against a guy like Max. I feel like Max, he isn't going to be able to drown this guy. I don't think he's going to be fast enough to handle the tight counters inside. And I feel like if he does start to overwhelm Volkanovski with the pressure, Volkanovski can tie up, try to slow down the fight through that. And I feel like Volkanovski's extremely confident. He has the heart of a lion. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think that he's going to be there. He's going to be ready to go. And I'm just going to go with Alexander Volkanovski. I think that he's going to be able to get the win, maybe even get the finish. And I'm going to go with Volkanovski via decision, though. And finally, we're here. We're at the main event. The trash talking is all over. Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. They're going to get locked in the cage, and we're going to see what happens finally. But in this fight, man, I feel like Covington, even though they're both grapplers, I think Covington's going to be the one that wants to keep it on the feet, keep it long range. And I think Usman is going to be the mauler. He's going to be keeping the same game plan where I think he just wants to hold him against the cage, take him down, control on top, be that blanket. And I just don't think, Kamaru's saying he's going to knock him out. He's saying all this stuff, and I just don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to come in with the same game plan because if he comes in here wanting to strike with Colby, I think Colby's much more fluid with the striking, and I think that's Colby's path to victory here. I think that it's going to be through, controlling with the jab, and then if he could use the jab to keep him on the outside, the body kicks, the leg kicks, I think the leg kicks as well are going to be a big thing if he can land those and set him up without getting taken down off of them. And I think if he could start to land the jab, the straight punches, and front kicks to kind of frustrate Kamaru, just touch him like he was doing Lawler. If Usman starts coming in with big looping shots, that's when Colby could start to sit down on his punches, try to, hurt Kamaru, discourage him from coming in. And I think for Marty Usman, I think that, he's going to be trying to come over the top with the hooks, with the overhands. Kamaru isn't nearly as fluid, in my opinion. He doesn't have the combination punching. And, he has long reach, 77.5-inch reach. So sometimes he can land a long-range jab, a straight punch. But Usman is much more about using his punching power and his big hooks, his big explosive actions, because he's a big, explosive, fast guy, to back you up and tie you up against the cage and maul you. And that's what he's going to want to do to Covington. And I feel like he's going to be using that single as well in space to try to get the takedown. But Covington's really good with the whizzer off the single, sprawling and disengaging. And I feel like if he can create scrambles constantly, if Kamaru's shooting takedowns and Kamaru can't back Colby up, because Colby has to control the center in this fight. Like Robbie Lawler, in that fight, he was sprinting to the center, throwing like Superman punches, elbows to back him up and control the center with his lead foot. Make sure that he's not going to get backed up towards the cage, because if he gets backed up towards the cage, I do feel like, Usman is strong enough to tie up with them, maybe control him, maybe take him down. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold down a guy like Colby Covington. And maybe I feel like this fight, maybe like the early rounds, especially like round 1, maybe I could see, Marty early on, maybe coming in fast with some big shots that closes the distance, because I feel like he's the better explosive athlete. And Colby has to respect him, and he can't be crazy. So I feel like maybe early on, Kamaru, I feel like, is going to come out hot. I feel like Colby is in his head, man, in terms of, like, we saw him take his shirt off at the stare down. He's barely talking. He looks extremely furious every time he sees him. And so I think he's going to come out hot, come on trying to take his head off with the strikes a little bit. But ultimately, get him against the cage. And I feel like maybe in the first round you'll be able to do it. Hold him against the cage, get some takedowns. I don't know if he's going to be able to control on top, but maybe, get some ride time in the clinch, take him down, mat return him, and then after the first round, I feel like he's going to be pumped. They're going to be talking to each other. He's going to maybe let him off the cage and hold him a little long if he has him on the ground. But I feel like as the fight goes on, I think that Colby's going to start to control the center a little bit better, and I think that's where Usman is going to start to get hit with these jabs, with these straight punches, with these kicks, and I feel like Colby's going to start to have success probably from the third round on, and I think that Usman, after Colby starts to strike with him a little bit, that's where his takedown defense might fail him, because Colby's very, very good at setting up his takedowns with the strikes, and once he gets that going and gets that avalanche going, it's really hard to stop with the forward pressure, the volume punching, the takedowns, and he has you on the back foot. You don't know when to go, and it's very hard to deal with at times. But I just feel like if Colby could keep it on the feet, keep it long range, control the center, and eventually start to mix in takedowns, but keep the volume very high. He has to stay on Kamaru. He has to keep the volume high and stay in his face, because if he gives Kamaru, space, because Kamaru is long and he could explode in. And I feel like if he gives him space to continue to explode in, he could get Colby's back to the cage. So I feel like he has to be able to control the center, but also back Kamaru up at times and be intelligent with his pressure as well as his countering. And for Kamaru, I feel like he has to initiate the grappling here. I feel like maybe he has a slight chance to land a big shot over the top, or be able to contend in some exchanges. But I think long term, if this fight's contested on the feet, I think it's Colby all day. He throws more volume. He's tighter. He's more fluid. And I feel like Usman's going to have to rough him up. He's going to have to get in the dirty boxing range. He's going to have to get takedowns. He's going to have to grind. He's going to have to make Colby question the wrestling, question himself, and be like, damn, this guy's completely manhandling me. But I just don't know if that's going to happen, man. I feel like Colby's going to be able to eventually start denying these takedowns. I don't think he's going to be like Tyron Woodley and just back up to the cage and allow Kamaru to start with Colby's back against the cage every fight or every round. I think he's going to show some resistance. I think he's going to make Kamaru scramble. I think he's going to force some clinch breaks. He's going to deny some takedowns, keep Kamaru in the middle, and I think that we're going to see Kamaru get tired for the first time in his career, similar to how he got tired against Emil Mech. And I do feel like if he gets takedowns, Colby will be able to scramble. I feel like Colby actually is the more guy likely to finish, even though I think this fight will go to decision. And I think that Colby is the more fun guy to watch. I mean, Kamaru, man, when he wins, he's just going to blanket you. He's going to hold you against the cage. He has one submission. He doesn't really strike with you like that. Colby at least against Robbie threw the most strikes in a 5-round fight in UFC history. He was keeping it on the feet. He was boxing him up. He was making it fun, high-paced. There was action. Usman, there's not a lot of action in his fights, but that's not something you can hold against him in terms of making a pick. I just feel like Colby is cleaner. I feel like he's better with his technique. I think that both these guys wrestling, Covington has good enough wrestling, scrambles, defensive wrestling to offset it. I feel like maybe he'll even surprise Usman, get a takedown or two. In the fight with Damian Maia, Damian was much closer getting the takedown on Kamaru than he was against Colby. Marty got saved by the ref a little bit in that fight where Damian was on his back almost, but Usman's never been taken down in the UFC. He objectively has the better takedown defense, you could say, because Covington did get taken down a few times by RDA. He's been taken down by, Dung Young, Stun Gun Kim. He's been taken down by a few people, but I just feel like in this fight, Colby has the cardio, he has the better boxing, and he has better striking. I feel like he's going to utilize the long range, and just out-volume Kamaru and win a decision here. I think it could be close. I think that, like I said, I think Usman's going to come out hot, maybe win even the first 2 rounds with his tie-outs, with his wrestling game. But I think that Colby's either going to win the last 3 rounds or win 4-1 or win a decision. I'm going with Colby Covington to get it done here. And, I know a lot of guys hate Colby Covington. I know people don't like him, so they don't really want him to win in a lot of fights. But my pick's going to be Colby Covington to get it done here. And, so I think Colby Covington's going to become the new welterweight champion. It's going to be interesting because he has some beef with the UFC. Who knows what he's going to do with that belt, what he's going to do with Dana White. But it'll be some theater, and we'll see what happens if Colby actually does get the win and gets it done here. For my most confident pick of the night, I'm actually going to go with Geoff Neal. And, my most confident pick is Petr Yan, but I want to give a confident pick that's, has some juice to him where you could still maybe bet him straight, even though Neal's like a 250, minus 250 as well. But my most confident pick will be Geoff Neal. And the parlay of the week, I'm going to say Geoff Neal, Petr Yan, and Amanda Nunes as the parlay of the week. And for the underdog of the night, it's going to be Alexander Volkanovski to get the win here. And some other fights I'm pretty confident in as well are people like, I think Viviane Araujo should get the win here. I think that also Ian Heinisch should get the win as well. I actually like Kai Kara France also, as well as Punahele Soriano. So those are a few other people that I'm looking at maybe as potential bets. I think Irene Aldana isn't a bad bet as an underdog. Ben Saunders maybe even as well. But yeah, that's going to be the video for UFC 245. Make sure to drop a like there, comment, subscribe, and let me know who you're going with, what you think of the video, and we'll be back next week. Unfortunately, now it's not Korean Zombie against Brian Ortega, but Frankie Edgar stepped up and should still be a sick fight. So last card of the year, we're gonna hopefully end the year with 2 hits on the parlays and win some money here. But yeah, let's have some fun watching these fights on Saturday.